First of all, look, thank you, all of you, for coming before us. Also, thank you all for being so frank and giving us information, particularly to Lisa, Martina. And Martina, thanks again for coming here. I know it must be incredibly frustrating to have to tell our committee the same things as you said to us the last time, but please don't think that it's not valuable or important for the work we're doing. I mean, I think two things. First of all, there is nobody here saying the scheme shouldn't get up and running. In fact, the homeowners have been pleading for the scheme to get up and running as quickly as possible. But I think the message that is loud and clear to this committee is there's a parallel piece of work as the scheme gets up and running to fix all of the problems that not just the homeowners, but in fact the engineers in the room have outlined. And I think there are many of us in this committee who are more than willing to give a commitment that we're going to continue to try and have those problems that have been raised here resolved. Some of those will take changes in legislation, some of them will take changes in regulations, some of them will just take changes of policy, but I think we all want this scheme to work in the way that the homeowners have asked. I have two very specific questions which just relate to the operation of the revised scheme, and it's not because I'm not taking on board the things you've said about all the other issues. I think they've been well rehearsed. First of all, and it's a question both for Donegal and Mayo, obviously for those homeowners who are in the existing scheme, there are so-called transitional mechanisms to be moved from the existing scheme to avail of the changes in the revised scheme. And I'm hearing some concerns that those transitional mechanisms may be too burdensome in terms of the administrative burden on homeowners who've already gone through 2 years of the existing scheme. So I'd like to invite you briefly, do you have any concerns specifically about those transitional mechanisms? And are there things that we can be highlighting with the department to try and make it as easy as is possible for those homeowners? The second question is, I heard John McLaughlin from Donegal County Council on the radio yesterday, and he seemed to be suggesting that, you know, if somebody just forgot to submit some of the documentation, there wouldn't be a process by which somebody would pick up the phone and just say, you've missed a document, can you resubmit it? People would be forced into appealing on refusal. Do you have concerns for new entrants to the scheme that the level of bureaucracy that's imposed, and Martina Hegarty, you spoke to this briefly, is a concern? And then finally, we have an opportunity, Martina Cleary, just in terms of Clare finally getting into the scheme. Where is that at, and are there things we need to be saying to the department to make sure you're not waiting, you know, an undue amount of time before you actually have access to funds? Thanks, Chair.
Accept you, Brian.
I'll just quickly address those. Yes, we have huge concerns with regard to the transition arrangements. We have homeowners who are desperately in need of, they are part way through building. They desperately need, their situation needs to be addressed. They don't have timelines in terms of when that is going to happen. Also, with regard to the unknown, we have hundreds of applications that have also been passed over to the housing agency. At the moment, you might as well put them in a black hole. We have no information in terms of how they are going to be assessed, the timelines, how this process is going to be conducted.
We'll ask for information on that in the next session. Yeah, that's okay. I'm just conscious I want to let the other two Martinas in, and we've a minute and a half. I'm genuinely very sorry.
Yeah. Okay. So
we'll come back to that.
Okay. Yeah. No worries.
Martina.
There's just one point I'd like to add, and that's in relation to those that had already commenced testing in Mayo and are pending their report from their engineers. The scheme that's open at the moment is requesting a BCA, and we need to understand if the report and the testing results that's currently being collected by those engineers are going to stand, or if the homeowners are going to be forced to start the process the whole way over again. That's a significant gap. In relation to the transition, we're pending the transition plan from the local authorities, and you know, we're hopeful that will come any day now.
Okay. And then just finally, Martina Cleary on the Clare inclusion.
Yes, well, just a revision to the initial submission on Monday. So as of Tuesday evening, the portal is open for people to apply. However, access to, for example, experts in this region that can conduct the BCA. I phoned and, you know, obviously as a representative for homeowners as well, they're experiencing it. We don't have, it's to do with project management, an actual list of people that will conduct this initial BCA. We're relying on somebody from Mayo potentially, or somebody from Limerick. We've no facilitator in place. We really need on this issue of prioritisation and transparency, we need an indication of projected figures. How many homes are they estimating? I've already asked this per county that they're going to be aiming to address per year. And also there's such vagueness in that prioritisation metric in the hands of the housing agency of where relative, the damage threshold relative to what, this relativity issue. Like, are we being compared relatively to homes that have been 15 years, say, for example, in Donegal, deteriorating? You know, and I have asked that question during some of the working group meetings with the Minister and with the housing agency. I was told that, no, it's going to be, the scheme is for every county, but that there's no transparency there. And the figures that are coming out from Donegal, for example, on how many homes have actually been remediated since the initial scheme was opened, they're shocking. Like, they're so low. So there needs to be a massive upscaling here of telling people, right, we're going to go aim for this many houses per annum, per county, and then annual check-in as well as to what's been delivered.